In 5 minutes or less, I'm going to try to give you an overview of the causes and a roadmap to a solutions for climate change put together by MIT Alumni for Climate Action. I'm John Dobbles. My contact information is at the end. Two approaches to global warming. One, do nothing, which is basically end civilization from my perspective. The other is take meaningful action, which is what we've tried to do with this roadmap. Global warming, if you think about the causes, go back to sort of second grade and dialogue with the teacher, and the student finally asks, how do we stop global warming? And the teacher, who's in this case Mrs. Barnhart, who was my second grade teacher, said, quit burning stuff. What do we burn? Well, coal-fired plants, natural gas, diesel fuel, gasoline, logs, cows. Yes, they even admit methane, which is a greenhouse gas. What causes global warming? Well, if you think about CO2 and the other greenhouse gases, they act like a blanket. So heat that normally would escape the earth stays in, just like a blanket. Right now, what we have is a down comforter rather than a thin blanket. Has CO2 varied over time? Yes. Let's go back. There's a pattern. If you go back 500,000 years using ice core samples, there's a definite up and down pattern. We should be at the stage now on the right-hand side where it's flat to going down. Instead, it's going way, way up. Does CO2 cause the Earth's temperature to rise? Well, here's since 1950, the blue line is the CO2, which you just saw on the previous slide. The red dots are the average Earth's temperature, and you can see where it's headed. What warms when you have global warming? Well, on the Earth, you've got the atmosphere, which we feel. The other is the oceans. As the oceans warm, they actually absorb more CO2. Ice melts, water gets more acidic, which kills the coral reefs and other sources of food for fish. And that whole ecosystem is really being damaged. Does temperature matter? One day it's 20 degrees, in the summer it's 80 or 100. Think of the Earth as more like your body. If your body temperature went up 3 to 4 degrees or 5 degrees, which is where the Earth's temperature is headed, you'd have severe organ damage. So when we talk about the Earth's temperature, it's not the daily change in temperature, but it's your body temperature. What's going to happen? Well, all these things have happened so far, and they're going to get worse. And the economic consequences are going to get much worse. But the oceans are going to continue to rise, which will cause more flooding. Prediction is by 2100, the Earth or the water level in the oceans will rise about a foot. In addition, you got climate pattern changes. West Coast is a good example where you get more extreme drought and forest fires and actually flooding when they do get rain. What's left to do to reach this target of for 2050 where we have a zero carbon society? And that number was chosen because of the long life of CO2 in the atmosphere. It's about 100 years. So we have technology today that'll get us pretty close to a zero carbon economy in 2050. What we don't have is widespread understanding or education about it and adoption and commitment to these technologies. So how do we reduce CO2? As Mrs. Barnhart said, quit burning stuff and electrify. What gets electrified? Cars, trucks, buses, houses, industry. And as a result, we're going to see a significant increase in electricity demand. Can we handle everything with wind and solar? And the answer is no. They're great for no CO2, but the fact is we need a supplement. I strongly encourage you to look at the longer presentation on the MIT website that addresses some of these issues. Who needs to be educated? Well, Congress, clearly, the media, general public, Wall Street, Main Street, and people under age 30. Students are going to be most affected by this, and they really need to understand it. We owe it to them. How can you help? Much like we did in World War II, everybody gets involved. All disciplines are needed. We've got a lot of disciplines in our group, but very science-based. So we need to leverage the education of other people. We all need to work with schools, 501c3, religious groups. There's some educational tools available on our website. Try to set a good example yourself. There's a EPA website footprint or carbon footprint calculator. I encourage you to do that. Also encourage you to become an affiliate of the MIT Alumni Group. You don't have to be an MIT member to do that. Go to the website, my contact information, and all of this. Snoopy thanks you, and I made a little over 5 minutes. So thanks very much for your time.